if you care about it, then you think, well, I'm going to do the little I can do, and together we can just make some dent. It is horrible, but you have to tough it out.
Ingrid Newkirk, welcome.
Thank you.
Very excited to meet you. So first I want to tell you a very difficult woman to meet in terms of what to wear, because I start dressing, I don't feel comfortable wearing my wool coat. I normally wear leather shoes, and I really had to rethink what I was wearing this morning.
It's easy nowadays though.
Okay.
It wasn't at one time, but if you set out to do it, leather that's made of grapes, of pineapple, of mushrooms, Stella McCartney of course, icon of fashion that has metallic threads and all these extraordinary materials that you never thought of before, and for practicality as well as fashion.
But most people still haven't heard of them. Where are they? Who are these brands who are creating these amazing clothes?
Of course, as your readers do, read the fashion press, you come across new things all the time. Some of them are quite pricey, but it's becoming mainstream, especially these breathable vegan leathers now. We've been in China and we've seen dogs killed for leather that comes into this country, obviously not marked as dog leather, but you can't tell. You never know, as we say, whose skin you're in. And of course we have been on the cattle trail in India, of all places, and that is a horrific trail where the cattle are abused so awfully for a leather satchel or a leather handbag. I can't imagine anyone with a kind heart who just glimpses what we've seen would do anything other than seek out these new, vibrant, exciting fashion items that are not the product of cruelty.
The fur-free conversation has been around for a long time, and most people I know wouldn't touch fur with a barge pole. However, leather and wool have been a newer conversation.
Yes.
Glamour is fur-free, always has been, but we feature leather, we feature wool, and we don't think about it from a conscious perspective. What do you think is changing?
Well, I'm so old now that I remember the day when people said exactly that about fur. They had no idea, and they would say, oh, come on, it can't involve such cruelty. Now, as you say, unless you've lived in a cave, you know. But the same thing is happening, ever so slowly, but I can see the avalanche approaching because the exposés are shocking and the alternatives are now available. So it simply is a matter of the consumer pushing the market, going online and saying, I'm choosing this one, not that one.
Recently, Boohoo came out saying that they were going to ban wool, and then, I don't know, a week later they said, actually, we're not going to ban wool because it's not good for sustainability. And I think that conversation is really interesting because we wear fake fur and that's really bad for the environment because it sits in a landfill for 1,000 years. So where does that conversation sit in terms of ethical versus sustainable?
Fake fur is actually far more environmentally conscious, not to say it's totally, it isn't, than real fur. Real fur has to be treated with what are called mortants, which are a huge cocktail of chemicals. And they use things that are not only poisonous to the environment to treat the flesh to make it so that it doesn't rot. They treat it so that if you throw a piece of fur out of your window, it'll still be there years and years later. It doesn't biodegrade. This is a fantasy.
Can we go back to the very beginning? Because obviously you loved animals. I read that you had a dog that, you know, like my children, you grew up from birth, is it? From birth with
Yes.
a dog that was your best friend. But how do you go from being an animal lover, which I am, to thinking I can set up what is going to become the world's biggest anti-cruelty organisation? How do you make that step? How old were you? Where did you even start?
Well, thanks for mentioning my brother, the dog, because he was there before I got there. He was my parents' child before I arrived. So it didn't occur to me, as an only child with this dog, that there was any difference in his feelings and mine, and there really wasn't. I ate animals. I had my first fur coat when I was 19. I fished, but later it occurred to me they're all Shawnee, my dog's name. They're all the same. When I had that thought, it occurred to me, if I cared about animals, maybe I should start a little group and try to show people how bad things are for animals.
And how old were you at this point?
Well, I started working for animals when I was 19, and I formed the group Peta in 1980, and I'm now 70 this year.
Inspiration, ladies, really.
My heart has been broken a million times on the videos that we've seen. The sheep shearing one, believe it or not, if you care about animals, it will crush you.
Did your mother work for Mother Teresa? Have I got that wrong? She did.
She volunteered for Mother Teresa. So
Amazing.
I grew up with orphans, stray dogs,
Amazing.
all sorts of refugees in our home.
Wow.
And she said, it doesn't matter who suffers, it matters that they suffer. Try to do something about it. So I learned from her.
Amazing. For all the amazing things that Peta has done and you have done since 1980, you've faced an awful lot of criticism as well along the way for some of the tactics you've used, using scantily clad women at Wimbledon. How do you feel about the backlash that you get in those situations?
Every woman who does it, and I mean, just don't turn away, but I've done it as recently as 5 years ago. I hung from a hook in the Smitherfield's meat market with the pig carcasses. So it's not all about sex, but even when
you did that naked?
Yes, totally.
Oh my
Absolutely
goodness.
Not a stitch on.
So you're not asking anybody else to do something you wouldn't do yourself?
No, not at all. Every woman who's doing it is entitled to keep her clothes on or take them off as she chooses. No one is paid to do this. We're not using women. I mean, women are saying, I'll do it.
You've had huge success with a lot of fashion labels. Versace stopped selling fur, and there are lots of other brands. And I know you've had huge success with Zara, which is obviously one of my favourite Zara shoes today. Tell me, what's the relationship with Zara and Peta now?
I just adore Zara. I think they're an ethical company. And when we went to China and we saw how the rabbits are live plucked for Angora.
Honestly, that's the worst video. Just give me shit
I wish
about it.
I wish that the others weren't as bad. But we went to Zara management and the corporate executive showed it to them. And we said, come with us to China. And they said, yes, we'll all go together. Now, companies usually don't do that. They're too scared. And we did go, and what they saw horrified them. They came back, they said, absolutely no more Angora. They had £1 million worth of Angora on their shelves. We said, that doesn't wash with us. They gave it all to us, and we sent that Angora to refugees in Afghanistan and other places, to children who were freezing in the winter cold. And they sacrificed that profit in order to do something ethical. Oh. I love Zara.
How can Glamour read as an audience? How can they actively get involved if they care about these causes?
I adore you for asking this question, because it is the most vital question there is. And signing a petition is fine, but it really doesn't do that much. But really, the amount of money you spend in a year on food, on clothing, it's your buying decisions that are worth thousands of pounds, and it's your voice. Managing to show someone one of those videos online on your social media, talking to someone about something you've tried, perhaps a piece of clothing, a sandwich, that's what makes the difference.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.